Today is a brand new day, and the standard we're working on for today is public speaking school. Boy, I tell you, I look around at the way you all are dressed for public speaking school, and I am already a proud teacher. Let me go over public speaking school real quick, and you can pan around and show the audience. Show these well-dressed men and women in here. I will say public speaking school is the absolute best thing that I can teach you. Okay, I know we all love History Mania and, school and what we get taught and all this stuff, but public speaking is a skill that you will take with you from here on throughout the rest of your lives. Every adult in this room knows that whenever you have to go on a job interview, whenever you are representing your family in sort of context, or whenever you are just talking to people in general, being able to speak publicly is a valuable skill. It can lead you to great places, and I just can't describe to you how important it is. You can pan to the adults know. And matter of fact, while we're on the adults, can we give our parents a huge round of applause? Coming here to see their babies in their assignments. Without some strong parents, this would not be possible. So we are thankful for our parents, and we are thankful for us as students. So before we get started, I'm just going to give a quick summary of the program we're going to have today. Boy, oh boy, these little jokers up here have been preparing and they are ready. So, for our program today, we are going to have a few assignments that will be given. First, we are going to have our public talk entitled, How is America a Nation of Immigrants? And you can wait, I'm just introducing everybody first. That will be given by Miss Ruby Tankersley. Can we give her a round of applause? And then we will have our return visit done by Miss Nora Miller and Mr. Josiah Lee. And last but certainly not least, we will review our Watch History article talking about immigration, and our dear reader will be Miss Tammin Martin. So I know the nerves, the adrenaline, everything is going, and we just want to get this over and done with and be happy. So I'm not going to wait any longer. We're going to go ahead and get our public speaking school started, and we're going to invite up our first student speaker. That'll be Miss Ruby Tankersley, and she will be covering the public talk, How is America a Nation of Immigrants?
A lot of people came to America for more job opportunities. Because of the growth in the industries of America, there were more job selections for immigrants. The main job that most immigrants had was building railroads. Some of the other reasons that immigrants came to America was that they wanted to escape the cruel government. Many governments, like in Sweden, treated their people poorly. People also came to America for religious purposes. They wanted to be able to practice their different religions to their God freely. People also left their homes because in their homeland they had a lot of crop failure. Another reason that people left their homes was because there was more cheap land in America for immigrants to grow crops to feed themselves, their families, or to sell for other items. Immigrants could grow crops a lot easier because of our richer soil. People also left their homes to escape persecution in their homeland. Now I will read page 54, paragraph 3 from my social studies book. The trip across the Atlantic took 12 days. Most immigrants traveled in the steerage, the cheapest area of the ship. Here, hundreds of people were often packed together in a dark, small quarters. Families usually traveled together, although young men frequently came first to find work. The places most immigrants came from in the 1800s was as following: Great Britain, Ireland, Scotland, Germany, Norway, and Sweden. These places were far away and hard to get to the United States by boat. In Ellis Island, the majority of people that immigrated there were Europeans. But in Angel Island, the majority of people that immigrated there was Asian. They both had large immigration stations and immigration officers that would ask why the immigrants were going to that area. The overall places people settled was eastern and western parts of the United States of America. America is a nation of immigrants because we are a free country. We have a government that protects our rights. We have cheap land and many available jobs. People can also practice their religions freely. We also have growing industries in many parts of America. That is why we are a nation of immigrants.
Goodness gracious. What a fantastic way to start off our public speaking school. I don't know, hopefully you all were looking at Ruby the whole time that she was giving her public talk. But if you did see me, I was just over there just smiling, you know, for probably the first minute of that talk. Just so impressed by how well she was doing. I mean, if you were able to see the amount of preparation that she had to have done, because for the beginning of that talk, for a long portion of it, she was looking at the audience and just speaking. She was not tied to her notes, and there's nothing wrong with being tied to your notes. I want to clarify that, but it just shows how much she prepared. And the information that she gave, if you were to ever see a public talk outline, it's very open, so you can include a lot of your own personal information. And a lot of the information that she gave in her talk about immigration and the immigrants was research that she had conducted herself. It wasn't too much that we may have learned from the book, but it was research that Ruby went and did herself on her own time to make sure that her talk would be well done and be something that we all could learn from. And that's the beautiful thing about public speaking school, is that you may not have time to learn everything in class. There are things that I would like to cover with you that I just can't because of time. But when you have the opportunity to do an assignment like this, and you do what Ruby did so well, you get to get your own information. And history goes from being this old, boring old thing that Mr. Eccles teaches you to, wow, this is actually something that I'm interested in personally. So I tell you, I've seen some great public talks before, I really have. But this one right here, that was one of the best that I have seen, and we've been doing public speaking school for some years now. So when this video becomes available, if you have the public talk, make sure you go back and check out how Ruby did it, because that was a fantastic job. Let's give her another big round of applause. And now comes the time where we get to have our return visit. We have some very special people here in the back who have come to see Mr. Josiah Mr. Josiah Lee and Miss Nora Miller conduct this part. So we're not going to wait any longer. We are going to look in on our return visit demonstration taken care of. So please, you all can go ahead and start. Stay in the middle. You want this? No.
How are you today, Nora?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Oh, I just remembered. I have a question. What was life like for immigrants?
That's a very good question. I think I saw it on page 58 in our social studies book. There it is. Well, Josiah, life for immigrants was hard and difficult. Most jobs paid very low and working conditions were hazardous. Housing in big cities was
Housing in big cities was crowded and unsanitary. Since the immigrants lived so close together, clashes sometimes arose. Some of the immigrants were discriminated against were Irish, Italian, and Polish. Jews that came from other nations during this time. Jews that came from various nations also faced problems and discrimination during this time.
Cool. Okay. But then why did immigrants come to America anyway?
That's a good question, Josiah. We'll talk about that next time.
Okay.
Mr.
I have to say that for the very first return visit that has ever been conducted in public speaking school by this class, it didn't look like the very first one. Didn't seem like it was Nora and Josiah's first time doing this. Because what I just saw, just like Ruby's talk, was something that was pretty expert level. Something that when you go back and you have the return visit, another worthy showing that you should go back and look at again. Because I tell you, the way they started off their part and the way they conducted that part the whole time, it seemed extremely natural. It seemed very realistic. Because think about it, when we all do the return visit, when you look at this, isn't this something we discussed it yesterday? Isn't this something that happens in school all the time? You ask your friends for help. You may ask your teacher for help. You may ask your parents for help. But you need it to be done in a certain way. Or when someone asks you for help, you want to do it in an effective way. And what Josiah and Nora showed you was an effective way. And it was just so natural too. I can't get over that. Nora pointed out, oh, page 58, I know how to answer your question. And she went straight to the source. See, a lot of people can help you, but if they help you with just words and they don't go to the source, it may not be that much help. What was effective was not only how they acted and how they made it look very natural, but also the information that they gave, the information that was conveyed in the part. And did we notice how Josiah asked that last question? After hearing what life was like, naturally Josiah asked that question, well, why did they want to come to America anyway? Because life was pretty difficult. And instead of Nora feeding him too much information, she said, well, we'll talk about that next time. Another thing we want to remember when we're helping others, don't give them too much information that they may not need. Because if you oversaturate them with information, they're going to forget the important information that you were telling them at first. So, once again, expert level part given right there. And not only was it an expert level, not only do I know that as their teacher, but you can put that camera back on Josiah Lee's parents. And they know, oh, we might have to give this little joker some ice cream after school for the great job that he did. With extra, do you hear that? Extra toppings, please. So now we are moving on to the last part of our public speaking school. It's the part where you all as a class get a chance to be involved. And Josiah, you want to hand me my computer right there? This part is that we're going to go over our watch history article. And just a brief description of what we're going to do before we get started. The watch history article is basically a journal where we review what we have learned so far or in all of the unit. It's 4 paragraphs, 1 picture, and it is a summation, once again, of what we've gone over, but it's a chance for the students to be the teachers. A chance for the students to bring out some interesting comments and what they thought was interesting throughout the unit. So I'm going to go over the directions, then I'm going to introduce our great reader. Our watch history article will cover immigration. It comes from Social Studies Unit 1, Volume 1, and here are the directions. Prepare a comment for each question using information from the paragraph, your notes, internet sources, and personal experience. And because we want to get as many comments as we can, because we know we're getting compensated for our comments, we want your comments to be 30 seconds or less. So before we get started, I have to introduce the hand-picked reader for our very first Public Speaking School Watch History article. Can we give a big round of applause to Miss Tammin Martin? So we are going to go ahead and get started, please, with the reading of paragraph 1.
At the turn of the 20th century, many people from around the world emigrated from their home countries to the U.S. One of the biggest reasons so many millions left their home was to try to live a better life in America. Other reasons people emigrated was for free religious persecution, escape cruel and unfair governments, and escape hunger. These were some of the reasons people came to America.
Thank you for that fine reading. So question 1. Why did immigrants come to America? Oh man, look at these hands. Let's start with Mr. Hunt, please.
Immigrants, mainly from Northern and Western European countries, came to America for better economic opportunities, freedom of religious persecution, for better life opportunities, to escape cruel and unfair government, to escape hunger, and many other reasons.
Okay, thank you for that. Further on this paragraph. Okay, Ms. Kirkuki.
Other reasons are because there was crop failure and land and job shortages.
Okay. Some escape from hunger. And we'll take one more on this paragraph. Okay, let's get Mr. Schifrin.
Most immigrants came from Northern and Western European countries. Many came from Great Britain, Scotland, Sweden, Ireland, Germany, Norway, and other European countries. They wanted to overall find and discover a better life in America. Reasons included in this aspect is the escapery of hunger, getting away from cruel and unfair governments, and break free of religious persecutions.
Okay, thank you. And he naturally led us to our next paragraph because, now we know why they came, but where did they come from? Can we have the reading of paragraph 2, please?
Most immigrants came from Northern and Western European countries. Many came from Great Britain, Scotland, Sweden, Ireland, Germany, Norway, and other European countries. From 1890 to 1920, immigrants from other countries began arriving in America. People from Greece, Poland, Austria, Hungary, Turkey, and Russia came to the U.S. from 1910 through 1915. Many Asian immigrants arrived in the U.S.
All right, thank you for that. So, question for paragraph 2. Where did the immigrants come from? Let's get Miss Abdi here in the back.
Before 1880, most immigrants living in America came from countries in Northern or Western Europe. Between 1880 and 1924, about 25 million new immigrants came to the United States. Many came from countries in Southern or Eastern Europe, such as Italy, Russia, Hungary, Greece, and Poland.
Okay, thank you for that. Let's get Miss Griffiths.
Immigrants came from Great Britain, Scotland, Sweden, Ireland, Germany, Norway, and other European countries. Also, people came from Greece, Poland, Austria, Hungary, Turkey, Russia, and Russia came to the U.S.
Okay, thank you for that. And further on that, Mr. Zudu.
Most immigrants came from Northern and Western Europe. From 1890 to 1920, immigrants from other countries started immigrating to America. People from Greece, Poland, Austria, Hungary, and Turkey and Russia came to the U.S. From 1910 to 1915, many Asian immigrants arrived in the U.S. When immigrating, European immigrants came to America. They went to Ellis Island, but Asian immigrants came to Angel Island.
Okay, I like that natural segue to our next paragraph because we have the immigrants coming, but where are they going? Where are they landing at? So let's have the reading of paragraph 3, please.
When immigrants arrived, they would go to the immigration stations before they could enter the U.S. The most famous immigration stations were Ellis Island and Angel Island. Ellis Island was in New York and Angel Island in San Francisco, California. Most Asian European came through Angel Island, while most European immigrants arrived through the U.S. Ellis Island.
Okay, so paragraph 3's question. Describe the U.S. immigration stations. Mr. Ashetu.
The islands that most immigrants went to were Ellis Island and Angel Island in the United States, looking for religious freedom, land, and many more. Angel Island was located in San Francisco, and Ellis Island was located in New York. Ellis Island and Angel Island were the most popular immigrant stations, and Ellis Island was the most popular station for European immigrants. The U.S. immigrant stations were very big, and the officers would ask the immigrants where they would want to go and live and work.
Okay, all right. And further on this, Mr. West.
An immigration station was about where if someone would go, they would ask why they were going and where they were going. And there are a few places like Ellis Island, one of the most popular ones, Angel Island, New York City, and San Francisco were a few popular ones or places.
Okay, thank you for that. And I think we pretty much just covered it. We have to move on for the sake of time. So we've learned all this information about immigrants, but now we're going to kind of go back to what we covered in our return visit part and talk about how life was for them. Let's have the reading of paragraph 4, please.
Life for immigrants was not that envisioned it to be. Immigrants often had to deal with racism and mistreatment. For Americans, based on their skin color or ethnicity, life overall was very difficult. Most immigrants had to work very low-paying jobs, and it was hard to make it in America. The situation has not changed much today. Will immigrants still be discriminated against and life still being very difficult for them?
So our question, how was life for immigrants in the early 20th century, and how is life for immigrants now? Okay, Mr. Schiffer.
Life for immigrants in the early 20th century was not really that different from the life of immigrants today. The intensity of racism and mistreatment still goes on today. Today, people still finding jobs difficult, and life is still very difficult for them. The situation settles on even after some time.
Okay, and further on this, talking about how life is for immigrants, the past and in the present. Okay, Mr. Hunt.
Life.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Hunt. Let's get Miss Ogletree back here. I'm sorry.
By 1910, immigrants and their American-born children accounted for more than 70% of New York City's population. Like most immigrants that came before them, early 20th century immigrants came to better their lives. In Europe, many left their homelands in search of economic prosperity and religious freedom.
Okay, all right. So now for the sake of time, we have to move on. Thank you for your comment. So now we're going to talk about the picture at the bottom of your watch history article. The A question, what does this picture represent? Ms. Kirakuki.
This picture represents the population for the U.S. legal immigration history.
Thank you.
That's it. I have some facts for.
Oh, okay. So we'll ask the B question then. What are some facts about the picture below? Mr. Hunt.
Immigration has increased since the 1800s tremendously.
Okay. So that's pretty interesting. We're learning about all the immigration at the early 20th century, but it has increased tremendously since then. Anything further? One last comment. One last fact about this. Okay, Mr. Zudu.
At different time periods, more immigrants came to America into the 2000 to 2009.
Okay, so very interesting way to end this public speaking school off. If you look at that picture, from 2000 to 2009, many more immigrants came to this country from that time than any other time, and that's the 21st century. So, very interesting way to end our school. But also, I would like to thank you all, because this was your very first public speaking school, and what I saw from all the assignments given, including my reader, this is going to be one to go back and look at if you have a part. I can guarantee you this, every single one of these kids right here in front of me will have a part on the assembly, because they did tremendous, especially for their first time. You know who also did tremendous? The audience, all of you, for that great discussion of the Watch History article, and our tremendous parents in the back as well. Overall, I would like to say I thank you all for a great public speaking school. I thank you all for your participation, and I thank you all because you have made this day and this time a very special time.
Mr. Echoes, do I turn it off?
We're looking at it.